On the other side of the hall, a Sikh girl is consoling a Hindu child. So দেখ কি ইমেজ পোর্ট্রে করার চেষ্টা করছে, যে ইমেজটা হচ্ছে যে একটা গার্লের কথা বলছে, যে একটা হিন্দু চাইল্ডকে হচ্ছে ট্রিট করছে, হিন্দু চাইল্ডকে কনসোল করার চেষ্টা করছে. সো হোয়াট উই ক্যান গেট ওভার হিয়ার ইজ দ্যাট যে সেই গার্লটাও হচ্ছে একা হয়ে গেছে, তারও কেউ নেই, আর উল্টো দিকে যে হিন্দু বাচ্চাটা রয়েছে তারও কেউ নেই. না হলে দুটো ডিফারেন্ট কমিউনিটির লোককে বা দুটো ডিফারেন্ট কমিউনিটির মানুষকে একজন আরেকজনকে সাপোর্ট করতে হতো না, রাইট? সো another child has now dozed off, crying loud wails everywhere after one's parents. No one answers. Where are those parents? Clear? So, and it is not only the case that the elder people are only attacked, the women are only attacked, the woman was only attacked, or to say the mature women are only attacked. It is said, or they only have to face the brutalities. It is also the case of people, it is also the case of children rather, who have faced these brutalities because they are separated from their parents, either by death of their parents or physical separation due to this turmoil. Okay, so এই যে অ্যাটাকটা এভরি এজ গ্রুপে উপর হয়েছে, তার সাথে সাথে আবার কি, তার সাথে সাথে এই যে একজন আরেকজনকে সাপোর্ট করার টেন্ডেন্সি, সেটা কি, সেটা হচ্ছে কোনো রিলিজিয়ানে ভাগ করা নেই, ঠিক আছে? এভরিওয়ান ইজ হোমলেস, এভরিওয়ান ইজ ডিস্টিটিউট, and everyone has to support everyone. Clear? And the condition is that there is no one else to console other. অন্যজন আছে বটে, কিন্তু এরকমও কেস রয়েছে যে যাদের কাঁদতে কাঁদতে হচ্ছে কি নিজেদেরকেই হচ্ছে ঘুমিয়ে পড়তে হচ্ছে. যেই বাচ্চাটার কথা বললো, যে হচ্ছে কাঁদতে কাঁদতে নিজেই হচ্ছে ঘুমিয়ে পড়েছে. Clear? So what we find here is that this picture of the society gives us that every strata, every age group has faced this. Okay? Among them are people who ran for life for several miles. Many have arrived with bruised feet, broken limbs, and withered bodies, not to speak of their fear of fever and epidemics. Despite all this, they seem to have got used to this way of life. PDF থাকলে highlight করে নে. So what we see here is that these kind of people who have faced the turmoil, these people who have been through this dangerous situation, they have taken every step to save their lives. They have ran away from the place where there is turmoil, right? They have ran for life for several miles. They have bruised feet, broken limbs, and everything. Their bodies are withered. And what we see here is that over that there is this fear of epidemics. Okay, this epidemic added to the condition of suffering. Okay, they were suffering first of all due to the partition that was happening, the mass migration that was happening. They have to leave everything, and added to that they have to be aware, they have to face the challenges of the epidemic. Okay, so what we find here is that in spite of all these things, in spite of all these problems to say, they found a way of life. মানে যতই তাকে কষ্ট দাও, যতই মানুষকে হচ্ছে প্রবলেম এর মধ্যে ফেলো না কেন, তাদের একটা ওয়ে অফ লিভিং চলে আসে. দে ফাইন্ড আ ওয়ে যে কোনোভাবে বাঁচার. ওকে, আর তার সাথে সাথে এই যে ওয়ে অফ লাইফ যেটার কথা বলছে সেটাই যেন তাদের কাছে হচ্ছে নর্মাল হয়ে গেছে। ওকে, সেটাই যেন তাদের কাছে হচ্ছে গা সওয়া হয়ে গেছে। It appears as if this is normal. It appears to them that they have got used to this new set of routine. Okay, so she observes everything about her. She does not cry now, but her eyes are dim with pity and despair. At times her eyes reflect the hate and cynicism of one who despises the whole world. So what we find here is that the character we will be focusing on is the protagonist. Her description is being given as a person who has this cynicism, who has this hate for the people, for the world, because of the things that she has gone through. Okay, her description, in when we see a person we generally look at her face, right, or his face, but the description, or when we describe a person we generally tend to describe his or her size, whether he is thin or she is thin, or whether he is fat or not, right? But here what we see, her main identity, her chief identity is being given through the belly. Okay, for two factors. Number one, her own condition. Okay, and this condition is very important for her in the social context. Okay, her belly remains big even though she hasn't had food for 4 days. Okay, so when a woman is being described like this, we get to know, or we get to feel that this identity that is coming to her is becoming the chief one. ওকে, সেইটা হচ্ছে বেশি ইম্পর্টেন্ট হয়ে দাঁড়াচ্ছে তার কাছে, বা তার আইডেন্টিটিটা ম্যাক্সিমাম। তাহলে সে কি, সে বলছে she has not eaten anything for 4 days but her belly is full, her belly remains big. What does this show? This shows that, or this hints at, this describes that this woman is pregnant. Okay, and this pregnancy, the belly, becomes her identity. ওকে, একটা মানুষকে মোটা, রোগা, কালো, ফর্সা এরকম করে আমরা হচ্ছে সবাইকে আইডেন্টিফাই করি, রাইট? বাট while identifying, what we find that we are actually typecasting. ওকে, একটা করে একজনকে হচ্ছে একটা গ্রুপে হচ্ছে আলাদা ভাগ করে দিচ্ছে, রাইট? সো in her case, in this case, what we find here is that she is being projected in such a way where her identity is her belly or her pregnancy. Clear? She clenches her fist, aims it at her belly. But now the occupants of the camp have begun to notice this small woman, good looking and noble, and perhaps born into a well-to-do family. Her frail body evidently cannot stand such torture, the 4-day fasting and much else beside. দেখ, নর্মাল মাদার বা নর্মাল উড বি মাদার, নর্মাল প্রেগনেন্ট ওমেন আর এই প্রেগনেন্ট ওমেনের মধ্যে পার্থক্যটা আরও স্টার্কলি দেখানোর চেষ্টা করছে। কোনো প্রেগনেন্ট মাদারকে একদিনও উপোস করতে দেখবি? ঠিক আছে, বা কোনো মাকে, কোনো প্রেগনেন্ট মাদারকে ইউ উইল নেভার সি হার মিসিং হার মিল, right? But the condition is such in this case that she, being a pregnant woman, she has to get her nutrition right, not just for herself but for the baby to come, right? But what we see that she is in a state, she is in a position where she has not eaten anything for 4 days. So the world that in which she is, the world that uh, actually tries to keep a mother healthy during her pregnancy, is not being able to do so in her case. Clear? So the condition of women is torturous. She is facing the worst kind of treatment. Okay, and her, it shows that she has been from a well-to-do family. In spite of the torture she has gone through, the stamp of her family is still with her, but she has lost everything. Okay, there is no one to take care of her. There is not a single bit or crumbs of food is there for her. Okay, maybe she was the darling of her parents, the beloved of her husband. By now, inevitably, the report of her condition must have reached the camp doctor. Okay, so what we find here is that there is a doctor over here. Obviously, there were doctors, but what we find here is that the only thing that could easily solve our problem or solve or give us sustenance to us is food, right? সেই ফুডটা হচ্ছে easily available না, and this has been the case throughout. Even today, there are several millions of people who are starving, right? The doctor coaxed her to drink milk. He begged her, "Why won't you drink this milk for me, sister? Why don't you realize that this life is also valuable for our beloved country?" Okay, so the doctor is coaxing her, doctor is manipulating her in order to force her to drink the milk, so that she is a bit healthy, so that she can get the nutrition that is needed for her. What we find here is that the imagery of this forcing of the identity of the beloved country is being imposed on. Okay, that every child matters. That is to say, every child matters, every identity matters. But what we see, whether they would have any place in the country remains a question. Okay, one life, she broke into tears and said, "Why one life? How many lives have we lost now? Look at me. I am damned too. You want me to live on still and sow the seed of damnation?" So, what we find here is that this seed of damnation, okay, why this seed of damnation? Because this child is a product of rape. The rape that she has gone through, the violence that she has gone through, this damnation, the loss of dignity. And it is only, maybe it is possible that her family is not willing. There is a possibility that they might have died. But there is also a possibility that they know what has happened. Okay. But because of all this knowing, they are not willing to take her back. Okay. So even in during COVID situation, there are, I was talking to my friend who is a doctor, and what we find here that we are discussing, and there are several families who have not claimed the dead bodies, even from this April onwards. Okay, there are several dead bodies. Those are not claimed by the family members. Obviously, family members are there, right? So they have distant. So let's not talk about that. What we find here is that this damnation for her, this damnation is a dishonor for her. This uh, product of damnation is also a dishonor for her. Why? Because she did not want this child, right? It is a dishonor which was imposed on her, right? So want you want me to live on still and sow the seed of damnation. So how can a person, according to her, how can a person who do not have any identity of her own, who is left, how can you give a life to a free person? Okay, she continued sobbing, my life, doctor, may I ask you something? Tell me, are you able to destroy something which must be destroyed? Just as much as you can preserve something you think must be preserved. Now, this life bred of damnation, conceived in consequence of inhuman rape and ignorance. Tell me, doctor, can you destroy this, save another life? So, what we see here is that this woman, এখনো নাম বলা হয়নি কিন্তু তোরা জানিস নামটা কি, you know the name but it has not been mentioned over here. There is a reason behind not mentioning the name till this very point, because it gives a universality. Okay, why? Because anyone can this, any woman can be this woman. Okay, there were several women who have been going through this situation during the partition, who had gone through this, right? So till this very point the name is not mentioned. Okay, and what she is saying, she is asking the doctor whether he can do anything in order to save her own life. Save another life means save her life by destroying this. Okay, by destroying the embryo and save the life of mother from the shame of this world. Okay, it is a shame for her, it would be a shame for her to give birth out of wedlock. Okay, and especially when she is a rape victim. Clear? It would be a dishonor for her. How would she live in this world? That's why she is asking. So what we see here is that the pain of partition or the pain of losing the family members is becoming less. Okay, she is not crying for her family members, she is not crying for her food. What she is wanting, she is focusing on the dishonor that has been imposed on her. Okay, and she has to bear it. So what we find here is that this life is much more problematic, is much more troublesome for a woman. It is much harder than the lives of men who have suffered partition. In one hand, the women had to face the challenges that are brought on us, on the people, due to the political condition, due to the religious condition, due to the class hatred, and moreover that these women who have gone through all these kinds of problems, all who have been raped, who have been gone through any kind of violation, they have to face the blunt, they have to face the challenge of that also. Okay, so for her everything is same. for her the life is same. In order to live, she has to remove this dishonor. Okay, she, even in today's life, even in today's world, uh, for a woman it is very hard to get a child out of wedlock. Only celebrities or people from very upper caste or upper class of the society, rather, um, economically, they can do that, or they tend to do that. Okay, whatever. She raised her eyebrows in question. The doctor turned pale. He wasn't quite prepared to answer something like this when he came to the camp. He was a disciple of Supreme Master of Ahimsa. It was at his master's insistence that he had given up a well-paying job to serve the refugees here. So you can understand কার কথা বলা হচ্ছে এখানটায়. Supreme Master of Ahimsa, this writer is actually referring to Gandhiji. And what we see here is that this doctor has left his well-paying job in order to serve the refugees, because he believes in Gandhi, and for him it is very, very difficult to answer this question, because that is also a kind of violence. Okay, so what we find here is that this violence, the narrative of violence, is also very important, because this violence has been perpetrated on people at different levels. Okay, the violence is due to the partition that is happening, right? Because of the political condition, because of the religious differences. Also, what we find here is that the violence on women has been above all the sexual one. They had to face the political, the religious violence, but they also have to face this kind of violence, the perpetration, the inhuman rape. Whereas what we find here is that from a woman's point of view, for a woman to live in this society, to exist in this society, it is very hard for her to sustain in these conditions with the shame that has been brought on her, or that has been imposed on her. Clear? That's why she is asking for another kind of violence, to kill the baby that is growing within her. Okay, but for a person who is a disciple or a follower of Gandhiji, it is very difficult for her or for him. Okay, her demand was loud and clear. Further, he was trained and adequately equipped for the task, but would it be proper? So see the dilemma. The dilemma shows that she is asking for it. She is very clear about it. In spite of being the mother, in spite of being the mother of an unborn child, what we see? We see that the mother actually loves that child. Mother actually goes on to love that child even before the baby is born. But here, for her, that baby is a symbol of damnation. For her, the baby is a symbol of the rape that she has gone through. Right? So, it is easy for her, or it is best for her to get rid of that. But the doctor is in dilemma, that though he is well trained and well equipped in doing so, but the question that lingers around is that whether it would be proper or not. So any human killing is considered violence, right? Any human killing is considered violence. Then the killing of an unborn child will also be considered violence, right? So a violent activity does not require any assertion, does not require any sanction of a place or a thing that needs to be done. Clear? He was stricken with a kind of moral cowardice. Breaking an egg and wriggling another snake are taking away lives in different ways. That's what I said just now. So both of the things that we see over here is kind of a murder. Both the things are murder. One is being killed in front of everyone when he is standing, or what we find over here is that both are violence, both are perpetration, both are killings from different angles, and these angles are to be placed over here by Lalithambika in order to showcase the condition of people. Okay, a person who has seen through, a woman who has seen through everything, a woman who has seen through the murder, the rape, the violence, and everything, is not shaking a bit in order to say that you should kill that. Okay, you should kill that in every possible way, or you should try to kill that. Okay, he spoke like Vedatin, sister, you are who are we to fight the decree of destiny? Look, I am a doctor. I have no moral right to take away someone's life. I can only redeem it. Look at the lakhs of people in the camp. There are many more like them in other camps. We will overcome this storm that rages over the east and west of a land. Bharat will endure. Are you not a woman of India? Cheer up. Here, drink this milk. So he is just using those words which has been imposed on him, the words that have been conditioned, which has actually conditioned people, that have conditioned their mind. Okay, কেন কন্ডিশন বলছি? কারণ ভালো কাজের জন্যই বলতে পারিস, ভালো কাজের জন্যই কন্ডিশন, ভালো কাজের জন্যই ম্যানিপুলেটেড। কিন্তু এই যে ওয়ার্ডসগুলো, এই ওয়ার্ডসগুলো শুনলেই মনে হবে কেউ যেন তোমার মনের মধ্যে ইনপুট করেছে, রাইট? ইনপুট না করলেও হোয়াট উই সি, যে এই ডক্টরটা হচ্ছে এই স্টর্মটাকে মেনশন করছে, যেটা আগের দিন হচ্ছে ডিসকাস করছিলাম। হোয়াট ইজ দিস স্টর্ম অল অ্যাবাউট? দ্য স্টর্ম রেফার্স টু দ্য পার্টিশন, okay, and this woman, the protagonist, is the representative of the women. Okay, so the women are being represented, the condition of women are being represented by Jyoti, the protagonist, and what we feel here is that she is nothing but a leaf, like a leaf, একটা গাছের যেরকম হাজার হাজার পাতা থাকে, যখন ঝড় হয় তখন একটা পাতা অন্য পাতা কোথায় কোথায় চলে যায়, ঠিক আছে? বা ড্রাইড লিভস যেগুলো, সেইগুলো হচ্ছে হাওয়ায় কোথায় চলে যায়, ঠিক আছে? So what we find here is that she is just a single person who is facing this. She is thinking that. But like her, there are several people who are like in the same situation. Okay, so what we find here is that the doctor is trying to calm her down. The doctor is trying to take the situation into his own hands in order to control the life, control the emotion of the person. She said nothing in return. She drank the milk, however. It does not matter whether it was the doctor's sermon or her zest for life that eventually prevailed upon her desperate obstinacy. Since then, she has been eating regularly. So what we find here is that this person who was willing to um, kill herself. Not just kill herself, but who was willing to kill the embryo. Okay, is now taking on the food in order to lead life. And in the next section, in the next paragraph, we will see for the first time that her name is being mentioned. Okay, the camp register entered her name as Jyoti. It was a Sikh woman who told us that her name is Jyotirmoy Devpal. We began to hear more and more about her presently. That Jyoti's mother and the Sikh lady came from the same village. That even after coming of age, Jyoti had gone about refusing to veil her face. That she had spurred the proposal for marriage from a zamindar, true to her self-assertive nature, and so on. So, the identity that was given to us was a representative or an image for several thousand women who have faced almost similar kind of conditions. Okay, several women faced this kind of condition during partition. But when we are getting to know the name, when we are seeing the name, what we find? We find there is a kind of individualization where this individualization is showing that her character is that of a bold one. How? What we find here is that this woman is actually this life is being presented in her like a presentation, not just presentation of herself, but also to show that in spite of coming to age, she was not allured by the possibility of a wealthy life or a possibility of a so-called established life by marrying a zamindar. She was self-assertive, and the women in her village were rather amazed at this girl's independent ways. Maybe now she is paying too high price for her such indulgence. এটাই তো সোসাইটি বলে, ঠিক আছে, যে মেয়েটা হচ্ছে সেলফ ইন্ডিপেন্ডেন্ট, যে হচ্ছে নিজের উপর হচ্ছে বেশি ইন্ডালজেন্ট, যে হচ্ছে নিজের লাইফকে নিজে কন্ট্রোল করে, তখন কি হয়, তখন হচ্ছে সোসাইটি তার উপর কোয়েশ্চেন তুলতে থাকে, রাইট? তখন হচ্ছে সোসাইটি কি করে, তখন হচ্ছে সোসাইটি তার ক্যারেক্টার নিয়ে কোয়েশ্চেন তুলতে থাকে, রাইট? অ্যান্ড তখনই হচ্ছে যত রকমের সমস্যা হতে থাকে। যে মেয়েটা হচ্ছে টাইম মতো বিয়ে করছে না কিছু বছর আগে পর্যন্ত, তাকে কোয়েশ্চেন করা হতো, তার ব্যাপারে কোয়েশ্চেন করা হতো। ইভেন যে মেয়েটা হচ্ছে বাবা মার উপর কথা বলছে বা ফ্যামিলির উপর কথা বলছে, তার বেলায়ও হচ্ছে সেই জিনিসটা হতো। অ্যান্ড মেবি, এই যে বলেই দিচ্ছে, মেবি শি ইজ পেইং টু হাই আ প্রাইস ফর সাচ ইন্টেলিজেন্স। Such indulgence here refers to the independent ways of her living. She was self-assertive? Obviously not. She is not facing the challenges or facing the consequences of it. Obviously not. What she is facing is a part of destiny, is a part of the political gamble that had happened. Okay. The crowd in the refugee camp grew day by day. Different costumes, different languages, men, women, children, the young and old, and the numbers swelled. And new stories, loud clamor as never before. And in the midst of all this, no one bothered about Jyoti. Clear? এত কিছু ঘটছে, এত কিছু সমস্ত দিনে বারবার হচ্ছে ক্যাম্পে নতুন নতুন লোক আসছে, আর এত জিনিস ঘটছে যে এই জ্যোতির ব্যাপারে কেউ কেয়ারই করে না, কেউ বদারই না। In that ocean of mass movement, she was but a wave. ইমেজটা দেখতে পাচ্ছিস, ইমেজারিটা? The imagery that has been used over here is to project that Jyoti is nothing but a simple single part in that whole existence. First of all, by the leaf that has been presented, the leaf in the storm, and now what we see, she is but a wave, she is just a wave within the whole ocean. ওকে, তাছাড়া অন্য কারুর মধ্যে, অন্য কারুর কিছুতে সে হচ্ছে ইম্প্যাক্ট ফেলে না। She is simple one, she is nothing in comparison to the hugeness of the condition that is prevalent in India. Okay, she witnessed many births in the camps, more deaths than births. In the camp, one could witness all the scenes of human life. So, what we find here is that কন্ডিশন অফ দ্য ক্যাম্পকে বলা হচ্ছে, কন্ডিশন অফ ক্যাম্পকে দেখানো হচ্ছে। সেই কন্ডিশন অফ দ্য ক্যাম্পে হচ্ছে যেটা দেখাচ্ছে যে সে নিজেও তো হচ্ছে জন্ম দেবে, সেই জন্ম দেওয়ার আগে সে অনেকগুলো হচ্ছে বার্থকে হচ্ছে সে দেখতে পেয়েছে ওখানটা, তার সাথে সাথে বার্থের থেকে হচ্ছে ডেথ অনেক বেশি দেখতে পেয়েছে, ঠিক আছে। আর এই ক্যাম্পে সে হচ্ছে উইটনেস করেছে every fraction of human life, the existence of human life has been done over here, has been presented over here in order to show how these people have changed over time, or what things they have faced over time. Clear? সেই ডেসক্রিপশনগুলো পরের সেকশনে রয়েছে যে কি কি করে লোকজন। At sunset, people gathered under the big leafy tree at the backyard of the camp. They were villagers who knew little of the national politics. They all belong to the beautiful land of 5 rivers, that is Punjab, sugarcane fields and whatever. On many evenings like this one, these men had returned home humming tunes like their walk tools balanced on their shoulders. Okay, and they have been hounded out of their houses. So, in this paragraph, what we see there is a contrasting picture that has been projected, the contrasting picture of before partition and after partition, which has been projected over here in order to show the condition of the people. Okay, before that the villagers would sit there, talk along, and they would go back with their work tools balanced and everything. So it was a normal life, right? But what we find here is that these people were now hounded of their houses. They were chased down. They have to leave their houses. Those ancestral houses that they inherited do not belong to them anymore. Okay, which had passed on for progeny, they do not belong to them anymore. Okay, they have been driven away from those places which were their own, like stray dogs. Okay, even they were hunted down as if they were like any kind of wild animal. Okay, how did this happen? Who was at fault? Okay, so they do not know the national politics, they have little idea about the national politics, but the impact of the national politics has been imposed on them. They have to suffer the brunt. The political leaders who were present in those times, who have given the permission for partition, they have not lost a single life. Their relatives have not lost a single life. They have not faced any challenges. But it is the common people The only sufferers were the common people who had no wish to leave their land, but they were forced by the political decision, they were forced by the um, situation that was created by the political decision to leave their house, leave their ancestral house, which has been passed on from ages, passed on for generations, and suffer, live on street, and even lose lives and honor. তাহলে ভুলটা কার? ভুলটা হচ্ছে নিশ্চয়ই যারা হচ্ছে লিডার তাদের, রাইট? বাট হুম আর উই টু কোয়েশ্চেন? আমাদের কোয়েশ্চেন করার ক্ষমতা আছে? আমরা কি সেই কোয়েশ্চেন করে হচ্ছে সেটাকে ঠিক করার চেষ্টা করব? যাই হোক, সেই কোয়েশ্চেনের জায়গায় যাচ্ছে না এখানটায়, উইমেন কোয়েশ্চেনটাই বেশি ইম্পর্টেন্ট condition of Jyoti. Let's end it here today. We will focus on the next sections later.